We're sure that you're enjoying Earth, a culture fest promoted by Z Sofa. In the previous panel discussion, you heard the panelists express their views about how they see the vision of our country. Well, the question still remains as to how you and each one of us who is watching the event is thinking about the vision and how we could contribute to our country. Now, moving further, we move on to a very different topic altogether. Now, this one is a very interesting conversation which is titled as Letters to Mother, exploring a new dimension of PM Modi. Now, in this conversation, we have Bhavna Somaya, who's been a film critic for more than 40 years and has contributed columns to various publications. She's the former editor of Screen and has authored several books on cinema that includes biographies of Hema Malini ji and Amitabh Bachchan ji. Letters to Mother is the English translation of the Prime Minister's Sakshi Bhav, and this is her 17th book. Somaya was conferred with Padma Shri in 2017. In conversation with her, we have Shubhrashta. She is a graduate of Miranda House, New Delhi, and is a noted columnist and TV debater. She is the assistant editor of the India Foundation Journal and works with the office of the BJP National General Secretary Ram Madhavji in the Northeast. Another interesting conversation to look forward to. Here we go.
Thank you, Bhavna ji, for agreeing to do this. Without much ado, I would quickly introduce Padma Shri Bhavna Somaya ji. She's been a journalist, critic, film critic, a notable one at that, has written many books, chartered the entire course of the Hindi film industry and beyond. She's also translated this very interesting book called Narendra Modi, Letters to Mother. It's been translated from Gujarati by Bhavna ji, and I would just kickstart the session by asking Bhavna ji, what made you, translate these collections of letters that our Prime Minister Modi, then he was not the Prime Minister, he wrote to Bhagwati, addressing him as mother, and shared so much of intimate details, not just about his life, about his work and his philosophies. What made you translate that?
In 2008, I had translated a Gujarati book called Krishnayan, which was called in English, The God Who Lived as Man. And by my own admission, it was a good job, even though my vocabulary in Gujarati is not great. It's just limited to an everyday normal language. So there is a friend of mine who is also a writer. One day he called me up and he said, so what are you translating these days? And I said, nothing. So he said, why? Because my experience of translating was not very good. I felt a lot of effort and energy goes into it. And then if you don't have a good equation with the original author, it seems like a waste of time and effort. And I kind of retreated from the idea and I did not do any more translations. So he said, I think you should translate the Prime Minister's book. You will not face those kind of problems. And my immediate reaction was, I don't want to do it. And he said, why? So I said, नहीं इतना ज़्यादा टेंशन और क्यों मैं इतना ज़्यादा मुसीबतें अपने सर पे ले लूँ, मुझे नहीं चाहिए ये सब हाई प्रोफाइल लोगों के बीच में, मुझे नहीं जाना. Every day he would ring me up and ask me that, have you thought about it? Have you thought about it? Finally, to just get him off my back, I remembered vaguely that I had a book of his in my bookshelf, searched for it and started reading. It's a very difficult read because the Prime Minister uses extremely flowery and very high vocabulary. His vocabulary is very, very good, very impressive. And it was tough for me to understand and follow. So it took me a very long time. And finally, when I finished, I reflected on it. And I like two things. I like the fact that he addresses to the Mother Goddess, their Mother Divine. And two, that his connect is so deep. The emotion quotient of the book is very, very high. Very high. So I said, only if I'm able to do justice to both, then I will think about the translation. And I left it at that, thinking and reflecting for a long time.
Bhavna ji, your name itself suggests emotions, and I think you've done great justice, because while I was going through the book, and there are certain, of course, they are your translations, but there are certain phrases and certain stanzas which stand out, and they are very, very evocative, and perhaps they're also futuristic. For example, when anguished cry, when you translate anguished cry, and what you've done is you've taken an excerpt and put it towards the beginning of the poems. So it says, "You are determined to torment me, and I seem destined for suffering. Still, I have faith in my integrity. I know I will someday quote the circumstances I deserve, mother. I have submitted to you. What more can I do?" Bhavna ji, now when you look back at your work as a translator, and you look at the man Narendra Modi is in public life as the Prime Minister of the country, do you think these poems are also somehow they are an umbilical cord in a certain way to what was about to come? I wouldn't use the term premonition because that has a very negative connotation. But did he know that he was destined to do such great things that he is doing today?
That's a very interesting observation. And in fact, I even like the idea when you say, this book determines the man he is. And as a countryman, we need to understand the man. The book is not about the Prime Minister. The book is not about the Chief Minister. The book is about the human being. And he was feeling all this in 1986 when he was hosting no position of power. And he's feeling so strongly, and he jots it down. And today we are publishing it when he is in a different phase. But it is the umbilical cord. And what comes across in every poem for me is that his faith in Mother Divine remains undiminished. And he is so clear-headed about what he feels, what he wants to do, what he will do whenever circumstances willing. You cannot doubt his intentions. And that the Mother Goddess will hold his hand and walk him through the darkest tunnel. So what happens now, Shubrasta, when I'm with my very politically minded friends, and when they are discussing politics and what's going to happen in Bengal and what's going to happen in Tamil Nadu and what's going to happen to India, and I just throw one dice, which has no foundation of any knowledge of politics, because I'm a apolitical person. I know nothing about anybody's reign or any Congress party or any Samajwadi party. And they all look at me wide-eyed and say, "Do you know anything?" So I said, "No, but I understand instinct. And I understand what I have translated. And from that, I'm saying this. Maybe I'm wrong, but my heart says I'm right."
Right. Bhavna ji, just carrying forward the conversation where you just stopped speaking, there are these lines before your creation, and you write, "It is your mercy, Mother, that I'm able to connect with the oneness, and the reason I yearn to preserve your integrity." And then there's a poem which is called "Pain is Not an Orphan," where you translate, "Why is it that despite my immense suffering, there is no trace of creation? Then is it compassion, not anguish, that compels creation?" These are pretty deep thoughts, Bhavna ji. Very, very deep thoughts. And then he goes on in constant conflict, that letter, he goes on to say, and you translate, "My only plea to you, Mother, is to bestow me with patience, that someday the existing darkness dispels. Someday the ongoing conflict ceases. Someday enlightenment will prevail." Bhavna ji, I want to ask a question to you. Did you consult the Prime Minister while you were translating this work? Or did you just go through his writings and translated it thus? Because the kind of ideas that are coming through this book are of somebody who is spiritually ordained to do lot of things, and somebody who is in tune with that spiritual self right from 1986, 1987. This is that time that you are translating from.
After I finished reading and reflecting and finally deciding that I was going to do it, so this friend told me, what you do is you translate about 5 poems and try and seek an appointment with him. Obviously, he knows more about the Delhi culture than I do. I'm only familiar with the Bollywood. And if he feels that it is in tune with what his writing is about, and he's satisfied, only then you do it, otherwise there is no point. And I saw sense in that. So I translated 5 and I sought an appointment from Delhi. And in fact, 2-3 times they were trying to tell me to come. I did not tell them, by the way, that why I was seeking an appointment. I just said I want to present him a book, because I don't like talking about anything before it is done. And I didn't even know whether I was correct for the job. So he was passing Mumbai, going somewhere. So I was meeting him at the Raj Bhavan. And he had just 2 questions to ask me. One question. He said, why this book? And I told him the same thing which I told you, that I like the structure and I like the connection with the Mother Goddess. So he smiled and he elaborated on how the book was done, the Gujarati book. And after that, very shyly, I gave him that few pages which I had prepared and said that you go through this, and if you feel it's in tune with your DNA, only then I will go ahead with it. Then as he was going, I said, I know that you're very busy and it's difficult to be in touch with you, but if somebody from your office can give me a signal that it's fine, because I don't know how to follow up this Delhi bit. So again, he smiled and he nodded. And then the office said, it is fine. You are free to do what you want. They left it very vague because that's the way things are done, I'm told. And then I started doing it, and it was not easy at all, Shubhrastha. Let me tell you. There were times I wanted to give it up. There were times I was feeling I'm inadequate. There were times I was feeling very weighed down with his suffering. I don't know what was so tormenting him, because it was affecting my DNA also. I was unable to pinpoint what was the cause of this over-churning, overthinking. And because he's not a film person, I don't know what was happening in 1986. I tried to go on the internet and see, but I could not make out. And then when I got very drained and exhausted, I would close the book and say, I don't want to do it. And then I would switch on the TV to watch the news. And he would be going from left to right and right to left, sometimes with a beard, sometimes without a beard, making a speech here and making a speech there, addressing an issue here and addressing an issue there. And I would ask myself, is this the guy? Is this the guy? Which is the guy I'm writing about? Do I want to know both? Do I want to know anyone? And then I would shut the book, shut the TV, and not do anything. But you see, the writer, the journalist in me is the dominant factor above all. So as you know, we are so tuned and disciplined for deadlines and accomplishing a task that even though it was unfinished, I could not give it up. So I told myself, I'm not going to tell anybody I've done this. I will first finish one draft at least. And then if it doesn't sound good, I chuck it. So I did the first draft, then I did the second one. Then you become obsessed. So you go on sculpting it till it's reading fine. And finally, I shared the secret with my agent, who started pitching to the publishers. And HarperCollins came in. Udayan Mitra is a fabulous editor himself. And he was so wonderful. He said, thank you very much for allowing us to do the book. So the size of the book was Udayan's idea. He said, it's about the human being. It should be affordable to everybody. Everybody should be able to afford the Prime Minister's book. And the presentation, and even those highlights that you see in the beginning of every poem or few poems, is Udayan's idea. So I am very privileged that I got such a good agent, I got such a good publisher, and hopefully everybody's reading it.
Bhavna ji, I've been a student of literature and I studied English literature, also Hindi. Somehow I cannot stop myself from sharing this with you, that, as you said, that you see the man out on television delivering speeches after speeches, and then there is this book which peels a completely different side of a personality to the man. When he writes, "Mother, today was the meeting I spoke little, felt alone amidst a crowd, the heart overflowed with sorrow. Then why was I unable to express it, Mother?" Do you find today, when you see the Prime Minister making those amazing speeches, and sometimes shedding a tear or two in Parliament, trying to somehow express himself and not being able to express himself the way perhaps he would want to, how much of a parity do you find in the man of 1986 when he was writing this and the man of today?
I find it's the same man, the same emotion quotient from 80s to 90s to when he was the chief minister. Because let me just share an incident with you.
Sure.
I think it was probably in 2000 sometime. A friend of mine had written a book on him, political book. And I think that book was stuck or something. And he said, if you talk to the chief minister, maybe things will move. So I said, I don't know the man, I don't know the subject, I don't know anything. They gave me the Ahmedabad office number. And just for that veteran journalist, M.B. Kamath, who is no more today, I just did just a gesture of calling. And of course, the chief minister was not in his chair. They took my number, he called back. And I told him that I don't know you, I don't know anything about politics. I'm just doing this because my friend has asked me to. He thinks that this thing will happen. There was silence, and then he started laughing. What I'm trying to tell you is that my judgment of all people who are well known, all superstars, is that we make a balloon and we make a perception of that person. But actually, they are completely human. And they are very good judges of people. And they immediately see a genuine person before them and know what intention that person has. For example, I'm very deeply touched by you, Shubrasta, because all the things that you're reading out, all the things that you're pointing out, all the things that you're questioning me about is what I went through. You know, that pain when he talks about. When he talks about the quietude in that meeting, you know, it's so subtle, it's so quiet, it can almost go missed out by a regular reader. You are taking all the right cues. You have pinned it in the description of the book, in description of the man. So I lost it, what I was saying. It doesn't matter.
Bhavna ji, you have no idea. You've made my day by saying that, because whatever I do, and I know that, you know, the kind of world that I am traversing these days too is so full of complications. I don't want to lose this touch, you know, of reading people, reading ideas, pinpointing exactly to the core of what they want to convey. I would like to read two more things actually. It says, this is 8 December 1986. So many queries, or should I say so many expectations of me. Mother, will I be able to fulfill them all? Will I hold true of their faith in me? With dedicated hard work, will I accomplish the promise? I sense immense trust, but also high expectations. And then 9th December, this is the very next day he writes, how the world perceives me is of little significance to me, as long as this heart remains connected with you. Now, Bhavna ji, these are years when I was not even born. So these are days when, forget about 1986 and 2002, 2001, 2006, 7. We never knew who was going to be the Prime Minister of the country in 2014. Now, the earlier, you know, lines that I read of expectations and of him thinking if he would be able to meet those expectations, this is where I feel there's some divine connection that he has He knew that he was destined for such greater duties. How do you see it? Are you as emotional as I am while I'm reading this?
No. Of course, you see what happens is you write it, then it goes through so many processes, then it goes through so many delays, then the COVID, then the China, so many things happen. Finally, the book comes out. The feedback starts trickling in, not always from the right person. There are people who hate him, hate the book, people who like him, like the book. So all this conglomeration happens. Then there are journalists who ask me, won't you get criticism for doing this book? I said, why? I'm not a political journalist. I have no agenda. I have no baggage. I am from the cinema world. My plus is that I'm speaking and writing the language. I know the language that is his mother tongue. So what is wonderful is that it finally gets done and it is there between the pages. And besides the Mother Divine, besides his devotion, commitment to humanity and to people, it is the various subjects that he reflects and contemplates upon. It is the nature, the universe, the trees, lake, river, ocean, motherhood, time, how time travels. It is never ending, the choice of subjects.
True. And which takes me to the debris of dreams, where he writes, the sun rises every morning with a purpose. But this morning, the sun appears hazy, somewhat restless, as if something unbecoming is going to occur, something macabre. So you're so right when you say that the range of subjects and the range of images that he picks up upon are so stark. Now, Bhavna ji, yeah, please.
Subjects he's writing about, and when he's connecting with the trees and the sparrows and everything.
Yes.
I remember one day a video of his was released about him waking up in the morning and feeding the peacock. Then another day, another video was released where in his garden there are sand, rocks, water, and something else, and how he's walking around it, because apparently, according to Arogya, you need to step on sand, rock, water, whatever. So this is not something that has happened because today you have the comforts around you. It is a part of your persona, DNA.
True. Bhavna ji, we have 8 or 9 minutes left with us. I would want to ask you a question which I think, as a student of literature, I always want to ask translators: how difficult it is to translate a work. I'm sure you cannot, one just cannot translate the emotions with which the person is writing, the original author. How difficult was for you to merely translate it, not the process of it, not the fact that he was the prime minister while you were translating the book and the logistical details of it, but purely, as a woman of words, how difficult was it to read between the letters and put it to paper?
To be honest, the reading between the words and lines was not difficult. Connecting to the emotions and recreating the emotion was also not difficult, because even when I started out as a film scribe in the early 80s, my editors and all of them said that you write too sensitively. I can hear your glass bangles in your writing.
Wow.
And often it was thrown as a kind of not a good compliment. And I used to try to fight the sensitivity, but I have finished with all those phases. My worry was doing just worry was the words, because the words also, he has a great power over it. He has great control over his vocabulary. So I had a friend who is Gujarati medium educated, and who I would constantly ask that, will this word be okay? Will that word be okay? So then she would leave it to me, because her English is not good and my Gujarati is not good. But even after I finished sculpting and chiseling the entire thing, I insisted on reading the entire thing to her over the phone because we were going through the COVID times at that time. My second worry was the voice, because it is a male voice and I am a female translating it. I did not want the gender to overtake the overtures or the tones. So I was taking care to keep gender in place. And that glass bangle of my editor was haunting me. So I knew I had to keep it. And I'm absolutely confident when I read it that I don't see it as a female gaze. It is a gaze. It is an individual gaze. So that was it.
But Bhavna ji, I think there is a lot of feminine, divine in the translations that you've done. And I'm not talking about the divinity that the Prime Minister is referring to. I'm talking about the divinity which has come through your own translations. I mean, there are certain phrases and words which are so evocative, which can literally translate as an image right in front of your eyes. Now, there are a couple of interesting questions that have come to us, Bhavna ji, but please go ahead if you want to say something and then we'll take up.
I said that it's because, you see, I grew up in a home where God was always revered, and it's been a part of my growing up. So that kind of also helps.
True, true. By your observation, what dimensions do you think have been added to our film? I hope it's in relation to the coming out of this book.
I don't understand the question.
Okay. Do you believe that adversity brings out the best in leaders?
I think those who are workers and creators create and work when they are in crisis or not in crisis, whether they are being watched or not watched. It's all about discipline and dedication.
Okay, there's one more question which I think I'll try to rephrase it also. How does leadership and responsibility further shape leaders such as our PM? I think it's, let's chart, if one were to chart out the journey of the Prime Minister from 1986 to 2021 today, what added to his personality, or what has added to his personality in terms of leadership and responsibility, going by the person that he is, that one small meeting, weighs down so much upon him that he is forced to address it to the Divine Mother. He's forced to write that I have a lot of responsibilities, that I couldn't speak so much today, or that, I don't know if I'll be able to fulfill expectations, to a man who is, who leads the world's largest democracy.
I think that all these questions which are coming from apparently our viewers are as complicated as them. I'd rather you ask me questions than them, or you simplify the questions and ask me, because I'm not a political analyst. I don't know what was he in the 80s and I don't know what he's now. So let the TV channels decide and debate on that. That's my answer.
Bhavna ji, as a poet, there are so many different dimensions to a poet's life and to a poet's creation, which I think gets layered once you get into public life. If you were to look at Narendra Modi in 1986, which is what you have done through his writings, and obviously you didn't have the chance to meet him in person in 1986, but the man that you look at through these conversations and the man that you see on the television today, what kind of a difference or parity do you see in those two personalities?
I don't see diversity. I think it's a continuity. It's just that everything does not have to be articulated. Everything does not have to be expressed. It's a mere close-up and the expression in the eye, and you can make out what that person is thinking, reflecting. So I think it's the same man.
Bhavna ji, one, you've written so much about Amitabh Bachchan that you can be one point contact for people researching on the man in posterity. Tomorrow, if you were asked or inspired to write a biography of Prime Minister Modi, would you do that? Because I think the intimacy with which you have translated these poetries, the intimacy that you have with the thoughts the ideas, the emotions, the images in this book, I think you would be a perfect choice to do that. Would you take that chance if ever it comes to you?
I would like to do a biography where he is not the voice, where I am just observing him and writing. So, for example, if I'm traveling with him, when he's doing his meetings, that I think would be interesting for me to do it without his voice. And that would also be less pressure on him or anybody. To have a feature in a magazine called Diary. So I followed Amitabh Bachchan for a week. And I would be on his sets, I would be on his dubbing, I would be with him wherever he was traveling. And I asked him no questions. He continued with his job without any invasion from me. And then I wrote a story. And I find that very challenging.
Thank you so much, Bhavna ji, for your time. Thank you, Zee Earth, for giving me this opportunity. Bhavna ji, let me be very candid. It's not only because of this book that I followed you. I've been following your works for a very long time. I've read everything that you have written. So I absolutely, absolutely love women like you who move out of their comfort zones. When I'm saying comfort zone, I'm talking about the emotional comfort zone and take up challenges which are absolutely innovative and new in their own ways. Thank you so much for doing this.
And I want to say that I'm so grateful that Zee chose you, because you were absolutely fabulous today. You asked me questions that deeply touched me, and most important, your insights, your observations, and the way you read the passages better than me.
Thank you, Bhavna ji. You have no idea, you've made my day. Thank you.
Be in touch.
Yes, I will.